Tension ignites and fear grips the air when a desperate driver abducts a little girl in broad daylight, sparking a relentless pursuit. But this isn't just any child. Her sharp mind and quiet bravery set a chain of events into motion that no one saw coming. What the kidnappers never expected was her father, a man with the power to upend their entire world. This is a gripping tale of courage, deception, and a family's unstoppable fight for justice. Stay tuned as her bravery becomes the spark that lights the way to the truth, and just how far love and justice will go to unmask the darkness. The suburban road was quiet, the glow of streetlights casting long shadows as Officer Williams and his partner, Officer Johnson, patrolled in their squad car. The chilly evening air had settled in, bringing with it a sense of calm that rarely lasted on these shifts. As they drove past a line of houses, Williams noticed a sedan with a broken taillight ahead. He tapped Johnson on the arm and pointed. "Let's pull them over." "Routine check." Johnson nodded, and the patrol car's lights flashed. The sedan slowed to a stop on the side of the road. Williams grabbed his flashlight and stepped out of the cruiser, walking cautiously toward the driver's side window. The driver, a middle-aged man with slicked back hair, rolled down the window. His face was composed, but something about his overly calm demeanor set Williams on edge. "Good evening," Williams said, shining his flashlight briefly inside. His gaze fell on a little girl in the back seat. She was clutching a doll tightly to her chest, her small fingers trembling. Her wide, frightened eyes met his, and Williams felt a jolt of unease. Something wasn't right. "Broken taillight," Williams continued, shifting his attention back to the driver. "Can I see your license and registration?" The man handed over the documents without protest, but his movements were too smooth, too rehearsed. "Just heading home," the driver said, his tone polite but clipped. "Is there a problem?" "Routine stop," Williams replied, keeping his voice even. "Where are you coming from?" "Dinner at a friend's place," the man said quickly. His eyes darted to the rearview mirror, where the girl sat silently. Williams glanced at the girl again. Her knuckles had turned white from gripping the doll so tightly. He noticed something odd. She was holding the doll in an unnatural way, tapping its head gently with her thumb. It wasn't random. It was deliberate. "Cute doll," Williams said casually, shining his flashlight toward her. "What's her name?" The girl hesitated, her lips trembling. "Mary," she stammered, her voice barely above a whisper. The driver shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "She's shy," he interjected. "Doesn't talk much." Williams felt a chill run down his spine. He signaled to Johnson, who was still in the patrol car, to run the plates. "Just a moment," Williams said, stepping back slightly but keeping his flashlight trained on the driver's hands. Behind the driver, the girl continued tapping the doll's head. Then she pressed it against the car window, angling it toward Williams. He leaned closer and saw that the doll's head had been written on in faint marker. The words "Help me" were scrawled across it. Williams's heart raced, but he kept his composure. He turned back to the driver, mind stepping out of the car for a moment. "Just routine," he said, his tone firm. The man's calm demeanor cracked. "Is this really necessary?" "I've done nothing wrong," he said, his voice rising slightly. "Routine," Williams repeated, unyielding. His hand rested on his belt, near his holstered weapon. The driver's agitation grew. "She's just my niece. We're heading home." "This is ridiculous," he snapped, gripping the steering wheel tightly. Williams locked eyes with Johnson through the side mirror, silently signaling for backup. The unease in his gut was now a roaring alarm. He glanced at the girl once more, her eyes pleading with him, her doll pressed harder against the window. "Step out of the car," Williams said again, his voice cutting through the tension. The driver's hand twitched toward the gear shift. "Don't make this harder than it has to be," Williams warned, his tone steady but commanding. The man froze, his knuckles whitening on the wheel. Johnson approached from the other side of the car, his hand resting on his taser. The tension was thick, the stillness of the evening shattered by the silent cries of a frightened little girl who had found her voice through a doll. The driver's eyes darted nervously between Officer Williams and Officer Johnson, his grip tightening on the steering wheel. The tense silence was broken by the crackle of the patrol car's radio. Johnson glanced at the screen, and his face hardened. "Williams, the plates are flagged. This car is tied to Marcus Fenton, suspected of human trafficking and extortion." Before Williams could respond, the driver slammed the gear into drive and floored the accelerator. The sedan lurched forward, tires screeching as it sped away. Williams and Johnson dashed back to their cruiser. Williams barked into the radio. "Suspect fleeing the scene. Requesting backup. Pursuing southbound on Pine Street." The patrol car roared to life as the officers gave chase, the sedan weaving dangerously through the quiet suburban streets. Lights flashed, sirens blared, and the gap between the vehicles narrowed. Williams focused on the sedan, his jaw tight. "He's desperate. Don't let him slip away." The chase spilled into a dimly lit industrial district. The sedan swerved sharply, careening into a narrow alley before skidding to a halt. But instead of abandoning the car as expected, the driver bolted with Candy still inside. The car screeched to a halt at a dead-end road, the man jumping out with the child bundled under his arm. He disappeared into the shadows of an old storage facility, leaving Williams and Johnson momentarily stunned. "We have to move fast," Johnson said, his voice low but urgent. "He still has her." Williams nodded, his mind racing. They approached the storage facility with caution, its towering walls and high-tech locks making it clear this wasn't an ordinary hideout. Williams radioed for additional units and carefully surveyed the area. "This place has to be connected to someone with resources," he muttered. "It's not random." Inside, the driver hurriedly placed Candy in a storage unit equipped with makeshift surveillance equipment and a small cot. "Stay here, kid," he snarled, locking the door. "You make a noise, and it's over for your dad." Candy clutched her doll, her wide eyes brimming with fear, but also determination. As the man turned to make a call, she quietly observed the surroundings, every detail, every sound, filing them away in her mind. Outside, Williams and Johnson coordinated their next steps. "We have backup on the way, but we can't wait," Johnson said. "If they panic, Candy's life is in danger." Williams nodded. "We'll breach from the east entrance. Keep it quiet until we're inside." The officers moved swiftly, using the cover of darkness to reach the building's entrance. As they worked to disable the locks, Williams whispered, "He's here for leverage. If he feels cornered, it could turn deadly. We can't give him that chance." Inside the storage unit, Candy's sharp mind was already at work. She noticed the driver talking to someone on a video call, the screen showing a man in a suit. "You're running out of time," the man said, his tone cold. Mathis doesn't budge, the girl becomes collateral. Candy's heart pounded, but she focused on her doll. Tugging at its arm, she revealed a small scene where she had hidden a tiny GPS tracker, a gift from her dad that she always carried. She carefully pressed the button, activating the signal. At the same time, Williams's phone vibrated. A new location ping appeared on his screen. "It's her," he said, his voice filled with relief. "She's signaling us." Using the GPS signal, Williams and Johnson narrowed down the exact unit. "On my mark," Williams whispered as they positioned themselves near the door. With a swift, coordinated move, they breached the unit, catching the driver off guard. He reached for Candy, but Johnson tackled him before he could get close. Williams scooped Candy into his arms, shielding her as the chaos unfolded. The driver struggled against Johnson, shouting, "You don't know who you're messing with." "Oh, I think we do," Johnson shot back, securing the cuffs. As backup arrived and the scene was secured, Candy whispered to Williams, "There's more. I saw other men on the screen. They're nearby." Her words sent a chill through Williams. This wasn't over yet. Candy's bravery and quick thinking had led them here. but the web of danger extended far beyond the storage unit. Williams knew they were about to uncover a conspiracy that went deeper than they could have imagined. The storage facility was now swarming with officers, each one scouring the area for additional suspects. Candy sat safely in a patrol car, her doll still clutched tightly. Officer Williams and Johnson stood nearby, processing the information Candy had bravely provided. She said she saw other men on a screen. Johnson said, reviewing a hastily drawn map Candy had made from memory. And she mentioned the name Victor. This ties back to what she overheard at the picnic. Williams nodded. This isn't just an abduction. It's a coordinated effort to manipulate Mathis's campaign. We need to act fast. Inside the facility, officers found a high-tech setup in one of the storage units, encrypted laptops, untraceable phones, and monitors displaying live security feeds. One of the screens still showed a video call frozen mid-frame, the blurry image of a man in a tailored suit staring back at them. "That's Victor Klein," Williams said, recognizing the infamous crypto mogul. Mathis's policies would destroy his illegal crypto operations. This is his move to stop it. As the evidence mounted, another officer called out, "We've got something." Williams and Johnson followed him to the back of the facility, where they discovered a hidden garage housing two unmarked vans loaded with surveillance equipment and a stash of unregistered SIM cards. "This wasn't a sloppy operation," Johnson said, inspecting the items. "They've been planning this for months." Suddenly, Williams's radio crackled. "Chief, we've got movement on the west side. Looks like a group of men trying to slip out through the service exit." Williams and Johnson didn't hesitate. They moved quickly, intercepting the suspects just as they reached the door. Among them was a man wearing a security badge with the name Victor Security Services. "You're not going anywhere," Williams said, his voice firm as he and Johnson apprehended the men. One suspect, a wiry man with a scar across his cheek, sneered, "You don't know what you're getting into." "Oh, I think we do," Johnson retorted, cuffing him. "You've been running a criminal enterprise under the guise of legitimate business. That ends tonight." Back at the facility, Candy's calm demeanor remained remarkable for someone so young. She watched as Williams returned, her eyes lighting up. "Did you find them?" she asked. "We got some of them," Williams said, kneeling to her level. "But we need your help, Candy. Anything else you can tell us could make a big difference." Candy hesitated, then nodded. "The man on the screen. Victor. He told someone on the phone to secure the ledger and move it to the warehouse. I think they meant this place." Williams exchanged a glance with Johnson. "The ledger," he repeated. "If it's tied to Klein's crypto empire, that could be the key to shutting him down." As they pieced together Candy's observations, a chilling realization hit Williams. If Klein's losing control, he might get desperate. We need to move on him now. With Candy's detailed description and the evidence they'd gathered, the officers traced Victor Klein's location to a luxury penthouse downtown. Williams and Johnson, joined by a tactical team, prepared for the next step. Before they left, Williams turned to Candy. "You've been incredibly brave, Candy. Thanks to you, we're getting closer to making sure no one can hurt you or your family again." Candy gave a small but determined smile. "You'll stop them. I know you will." As the team departed, the stakes had never been higher. They weren't just pursuing a criminal. They were dismantling a network of corruption, all while racing against time to protect Candy's family from further harm. The tactical team moved through the lavish lobby of Victor Klein's penthouse with precision, their steps silent yet purposeful. Officer Williams led the charge, his focus unyielding. The clues pieced together from Candy's courageous account and the evidence discovered at the storage facility had led them here. Williams knew this was their moment. There was no room for error. Victor Klein was cornered, and desperate men were the most dangerous. Inside the penthouse, Klein paced like a caged animal, barking frantically into his phone. "Destroy the backups. I don't care what it takes. Get rid of everything." His carefully built crypto empire founded on secrecy and manipulation, was unraveling before his eyes, and he knew it. With a coordinated burst, Williams's team breached the doors. "Police, hands where we can see them," Williams commanded, his voice slicing through the tension like a blade. Klein froze, the foam slipping from his fingers as the officers stormed in, catching him and his associates off guard. One of Klein's men made a desperate grab for a concealed weapon, but Officer Johnson was faster, subduing him with a firm hand. "It's over, Klein," Johnson said calmly, his tone underscoring the inevitability of their victory. "You're not getting out of this." Klein's bravado wavered, but his defiance wasn't gone. "Do you have any idea who you're dealing with?" he snarled. "I own half this city." Williams stepped forward, his expression icy. "You endangered a child and tried to undermine democracy. Whatever you think you own doesn't matter anymore." In the corner of the room, a high-tech server glowed ominously, its screens filled with encrypted files and digital ledgers. Johnson motioned to the tech team. "This is it," the ledger Candy mentioned. The team quickly secured the equipment, ensuring the evidence needed to dismantle Klein's empire was preserved. As Klein was handcuffed and led away, his bravado dissolved into resignation. "You'll never make it stick," he muttered. "We'll make it stick," Williams replied, his voice steady. "And Candy will never have to face people like you again." That evening, back at the police station, the Mathis family was reunited. Candy ran into her parents' arms, her father's stoic demeanor shattering as he held her close. "You're so brave," Robert Mathis whispered, tears streaming down his face. "We'll never let anything happen to you again." Turning to Williams, Mathis's gratitude was palpable. "You saved my daughter. There aren't enough words to thank you." Williams gave a small nod. "Candy saved herself in many ways. She's sharp and courageous. We just followed her lead." The case became a national sensation, exposing Klein's vast illegal crypto network and his attempts to manipulate Mathis's campaign. Public support for Mathis surged as the story unfolded, highlighting his family's resilience and his unshakable integrity. At a press conference, Mathis addressed the nation with heartfelt conviction. "This ordeal has strengthened my resolve to fight corruption and ensure no family endures what we faced. My daughter's bravery and the dedication of law enforcement have inspired me to press on with even greater determination." Candy sat beside her parents, a shy smile on her face as applause filled the room. Though her experience had been harrowing, it became a beacon of hope and strength, uniting a community against greed and corruption. The kidnapper driver, revealed to be Mathis's intended new chauffeur, was sentenced to 10 years in prison, losing both his job and his reputation. Victor Klein's empire crumbled, and he faced a 20-year prison sentence. However, after serving only 5 years, he was released on health grounds through the intervention of a high-ranking official, a bittersweet end to his chapter. Months later, Candy's dad won, and Officer Williams and Johnson became the family aide. Thanks for watching, and endeavor to like, subscribe, and engage in the comments. Let us know where you are watching from. See you in the next story.